Okay, so we've set up the next one building wise. There's some bandit archers in my way here. I know a little bit about this scenario, but I've tried to limit my knowledge as much as possible. It has affected at least one of my decisions already, though. The stench of death and rotting flesh gets thicker as you kick the corpses out of your foes and head deeper into the underground burial site. Guided by muffled sounds, you find your way through a maze of crypts and burst into a small room of hard-faced bandits, all with bows at the ready. They're guarding something. You must be in the right place. So here's what sucks. Special rules. There's 3 curses to each character's modifier deck are going to be added. Now, before, everybody had a bless in there. We had a hard-ass time, right? This seems like it's going to be a tough scenario. And there's all these curses. I've tinkered around with my decks a little bit, although not too heavily. I'm still pretty happy with what I had before. But now I have kind of a knowledge that I'm probably facing undead. I haven't figured out my setup for my characters yet, but and then the one last thing I did was I picked these things. Let's go over them. Aggressor, have 1 or more monsters present on the map at the beginning of every round during the scenario. His other option was Purist, not using items. He likes his item. It's rechargeable. So he's going to hope for this, that this works. And here's the thing. I know something about the scenario, which is that the bandit chief who's going to be in here is going to jump around and open all these doors. So as long as I get this door open, we're probably going to have monsters on the board the whole scenario. Until it's over. The only question is, do we open this immediately or not? He'll really be in favor of it and might in fact screw things up in order to make sure that happens. Because he's thick that way. The hunter killed 1 or more elite monsters during the scenario. That works pretty well. Hoarder was his other one, which was loot 5 or more money. You know, maybe, but I think it's more likely I'll be able to kill an elite. But at the beginning, there are no elites, so I don't know. I'm assuming there will be some. And then finally, plunder, loot, treasure, overlay. The reason for that is the professional, which I can't quite understand. Use your equipped items a number of times equal to or greater than your level plus 2. Well, her level's 1, so level plus 2 is 3. So that means she has to use each item 3 times, or use all your items in total, a total of 3 times. Neither one matters. Both of her items are 1-use items. So obviously that's a useless one. And there is at least a treasure in this scenario because I did set up the map. So I do know that. The scenario says it's going to have living bones in it. I don't see any in the setup. We'll see. I haven't looked at what the special abilities of the bandit commander are. Maybe he can start summoning things. Maybe somebody else can, like the living dead. Maybe they have some special ability, although that doesn't look like that's the case. So it's up to the commander or nothing. And we can put this over here. The bandit commander is going to be a special monster. He has his own little tile with no numbers on it. I did some sorting, got everything into their trays. Oh geez, did I lose a tray again? No. But there are a number of things that couldn't fit in trays, and then all the map tiles sorted alphabetically. I sorted the monster cards here alphabetically, but I haven't gotten to these, and those things are something else entirely. So those I'm not sure are going to get sorted. I still got to shuffle all these decks. It took quite a while to set up. Setup's an expense in this game, there's no question, and I'm beginning to see where people are talking about, yeah, you're going to be at this all year. Yeah, maybe, because there's like, you know, if I'm doing a scenario a week, it's going to take me 2 years. If I manage to do 2 scenarios a week, and I don't think I'll be able to manage that, you know, throughout, then it's like a year. But a year might be an underestimation. On the other hand, if I get hosed really bad, maybe I'll stop and convince my wife to play it, and we'll be good enough with that. I mean, I don't need to play this through entirely, but, you know, and I don't know, something feels wrong when the party dies, you know, it feels like it's all over, man. And, or even if characters die, it feels kind of like it should all be over. Which is something about Dungeon Degenerates I like. Now, of course, you can keep bringing characters in this because of the campaign nature, and if we haven't explored all the character types, well, at least that are available, maybe that's an excuse. All right, like I said, I don't think I'm going to actually start tonight. It's probably actually fairly late. This took a couple hours to set up, but that included punching all the counters and getting things sorted and everything, so it should get easier. Most of my time was probably spent doing that, actually. So one of my buddies has been watching this, and somebody I actually met in real life. Hi, Joshua. And noted a number of things, some advice and some possible mistakes. And so there was a definite mistake, which is, especially with the monster deck, when you're drawing from here, you do not reshuffle until the end of the round. I find that kind of hard to remember. I also find it a little disturbing from kind of a best chances type of thing. Like, you know, it's possible you could get a string of ×2 or a string of nulls, and I like when things have at least the potential for really extreme results to come out of them. So I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to play by the rules with that. Yeah, and now it's time to turn off if you're expecting me to just play games by the rules that they have. And I say these kind of things because I know that a game like this might get a different crew of people than normally watches my games. And then the other thing is, not a mistake, but something I forgot that's available, which is when you take damage, you can lose a card from your hand or 2 cards from your discard pile in order to negate all the damage that you take from a given attack. And they cannot be the cards that you've already selected for the turn. Okay. I don't know if that affected any of the deaths that I had last game. I think they did. I think in both cases I could have saved a character by reducing their card pool one way or another. Yeah, because nobody ran out of card actions over the course of the game. So that's definitely could have improved my situation, but I'm still scared of this scenario, although, yes, that concept, if I can remember it, should save my ass to some extent. Anyway, I still have to figure out where the characters are going to start. I've shuffled the decks with all those damn curses in them, and we're ready to rock and roll. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Pretty simple setup. I've got the Tinker up front as well. The reason for that is these are all archers. They don't want to close with me, so maybe I want to close with them. I'm not sure. But I also might be able to use pulls or pushes to pull them over the traps and cause all kind of problems. So that sounds kind of neat. Things are going to be a little different here this time. I've learned some things maybe. Craghart said, hey, I want to go first. And no, does he? Yeah, he wants to go early. I got him in the wrong order there. I want to go first. Give me some space. Well, it's hard to give him space. And yeah. So we're at 29 with a couple of 30s. The archers may well go earlier. No, they don't. They're going last. Cool. So I lucked out there. And 29 is indeed my first. So I have this move to all adjacent allies and enemies suffer damage. The reason I did that is I can run right up here. Now then I block the door and that may cause some issues, but But first, I want to do this attack. All allies and enemies adjacent to the target suffer damage. So I'm going to do a range 3 attack. Let's pluck him because he gets to fire no matter what. So that's an attack 3, and you know I don't want to be doing everything open anymore. But yeah, hey, he got us 2 times, so he does 6 points of damage. That's enough to waste this archer. Kill 1 or more elite monsters. That's not what we got there. Coin shows up, and we did a damage to number 3. We'll keep track of that on there for now, I guess. Both discards then. It's not open yet. 34 is over here. Actually, these should all be visible. He's going to be summoning that critter. I think you can point and say what you intend to do once your cards are revealed. There's nothing that says you can't. So now over here, I've got an attack that can shoot 2 targets. I can create a poison trap. That probably isn't wise. Oh, I forgot to do his move. 1, 2, and that did all allies. Yeah. I created 2 green mana. All adjacent allies and enemies suffer a damage, so that's another one against him. And number 4 takes a hit as well. Okay. What did we have here? We're over here? No, over here. Okay. So an ally within range 2 can recover 1 or more of their discarded cards. Well, he's within range 2, so we'll let him recover 1 of his cards. I don't... that's blue. I don't have blue available. So, which card does he want back? The extra attack or the bonus move? I like this attack card. It moves him faster. And that's better. And this is kind of cool because he has an 11. So getting a card back is kind of more important to him. And then here, we have an attack 2 at range 3, but we get to target 2 things. So I should reshuffle that, but let's put it on top so I remember. Because I don't want to wait until the end of the round, even if it were an issue. What did I say? Attack 2. And these things have 5 hits, so he's at 3. We'll go for the weakest one. And we do 2 to him. And then the other one, we do 3 to. So, we didn't manage to kill anything there. But whatever that matters. We may lose our bonus right away at the beginning if we just wipe these guys out without opening the door. And opening the door isn't going to happen right now. Okay, and now we got something new, which is we're going to be summoning a mystic ally. I've got an attack at 3. I'm not going to be able to create a wound at this. The other option is an attack. Why would I choose this? I'm not sure. So, because it's a lower level, it's a lower side card. So that actually helps me. So let's pop the guy who can't move, who can move without getting himself hurt. Because then the other guy might hurt himself. I'm not sure about the rules on that. So we're going to do an attack 3 at range 2 on the guy who can move. We hit him for 3. He was pretty weak. That's a kill. We don't care. Okay. this one's discarded. I hope I have these in the right place. Oh, I gotta get rid of that experience, and I gotta up his hit points as well. He should have 10. But then the other thing I'm gonna do is this, which goes away. I'm gonna get a Mystic Ally. Well, it doesn't go away. The card becomes the ally. And I need something purple, I guess. And we have enough for each character who can summon things to create like 3 of these. That's going to show up here, I suppose. I think I used the big one for this, and the little one there. And crap. That gives me 2 victory points as well. Now that doesn't get to operate now, because it only goes right before my turn, but whatever. I wasn't sure whether or not he can move here, but he doesn't have a move on here, so he can't. Instead, he has an attack at -1, but a target of 2, which kind of sucks. So his targets are going to be these 2. Let's do the Cragheart first. That'll be an attack at -1, which puts us down to a 1. It's pooched out, that's why. Felt like it might be an extra counter there. No bonuses anywhere. Oh, shit. 3 hits on him, and see, I was considering using some kind of tokens instead of these, but that'll work. And then his other attack will be on the Tinker, and range 3 I definitely have, so I'm just at -1, which puts me to 1. That's 2 hits on the Tinker, and this did not work out as well as I might hope. But we have a lot of healing capacity on here. The big problem is, hey, what happens when we bust through that door and things start happening? That I didn't express. It's if this guy had had a move, I think he would have moved up to here in order to improve his ranged attack, and he might have killed himself going through this trap in that case. I don't remember what those are. I think they're 3 points of damage or something. No, they're stun traps. But that would have, I don't know. I don't think stun kills your entire action, but maybe it does. I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. But that would have been a useful thing. Anyway, gotta pick our actions at this point, and I was also looking up the summon monster because we haven't seen one of those in action yet. I think the player gets to control its actions, but it may operate just entirely like a monster. I know it draws from the monster deck, which is kind of crazy. Ass backwards. It moves like a monster, so I can't control it at all. That's what I'm taking out of it. It says it permanently follows a move +0, attack +0, see monster turn. And using, yeah, it obeys the automated monster rules. So, if you took that literally, it would mean it would attack a character, though, which kind of disturbs me there. I'm assuming it's on the character's side and will automatically move towards the nearest monster and attack it as it does, which could cause some issues. You know, this is range, so it could end up blocking the Tinker if I'm not careful here. And then also, I don't know what else, but it does draw from the character's deck, which makes a lot more sense to me. Am I not retaliating? But I feel like, yes, I'm worried, but I do feel like this game is a little easier than Mage Knight in terms of the calculations that you have to make, at least at this low level. Maybe it gets harder at others. So I'm not thinking too hard. I like games where I don't have to think too hard. I try to meet my goals, but I don't want to push it too much. So let's see, we're going to have an archer at 14. That's trouble. He's going to be going probably first, because Tinker is at 37, 38. No, I wasn't planning. And he's at 20. Okay. we reveal all of our stuff. We keep the lead card in the front. Everybody tried to go as early as they could, actually, so nobody's trying to, slip somebody the fish. All right, so over here, first this thing goes. It's got a movement of 2. This doesn't get it any closer to the enemy, so it actually stays where it is. It has no reason to move. Because it's got ranged attack, it isn't trying to get immediately next to it. Oh, I should have 2 victory points for that. Not 26. Okay. It's kind of weak. Range 2, it's making an attack of 3. This might just kill that thing. Make it 4 hits. That is dead. I forgot to put some coins on the board. Which I should drop here. Should have picked the loot marker. Now it's my turn. And I wanted to move 4 jump, but I'm not sure I want to do that anymore. But if I don't do that, I'm not going to be able to move. I don't want to block people. I'm not going to have a good line of sight. I could open the door, but then nobody else has the capacity to move through me. So that's a problem. Let me think about invisible. I'm kind of trying to pretend I don't know what's on the other side of the door, and it cannot be focused or targeted, and they're treated as obstacles, which means unless they've got missile weapons, they're not going to hit me. So I'm going to go with my initial plan. I'm going to jump all the way to here. That opens the door. Now I get to see what's on the other side. And he had been saying, hey, if you don't open the door, at least make it so that I can. And I'm kind of like, well, whatever. Once we see what's on the other side, we might trigger this. But we got to set that up. And I've got some rules to look up because the bandit leader is here and he has special rules. Actually, we should pretend we're reading this. You open the door to a large crypt littered with coffins. At the back stands your quarry. Fits the description, but there's something previously unnoticed in his eyes. We didn't notice anything. A dark, otherworldly force. Who are you to think you can interrupt the work of the gloom? Gloomhaven. A dark energy engulfs his hands as he speaks. I will show you what you are dealing with. Special rules. The doors are all locked. A, B, C, and D. That's the 4 remaining doors. And can only be opened by the bandit commander. Oh, well, that's going to suck if we can't get this open. Maybe we can dissolve it or something, I don't know. The bandit commander immediately jumps into a door hex, regardless of how far away it is, and opens it, revealing the adjacent room. Starting with A, he'll work his way around, and then go back to A. What does it mean if he goes back? His second is he summons 1 normal living bones for 2 characters, or 1 elite living bones for 3 or 4 characters. I don't know what that means. Is there some sort of special card? Yeah, there's the boss deck. That's going to have the specials in it, I bet. So, that's what we're going to have to use here. And oh wow, look, there could be 10 bosses in the battle. To be able to plan, I believe these get flipped out right away. I'm going to get a special. He's going to be jumping to one of his doors, and I know about that now. And there's 2 living corpses. One's elite. He'll be doing a move, a muddle, and a mobilize to an adjacent enemy. Probably can't get that far. Their movement is very low. So he's going to be moving 2 hexes, which is faster than normal. I believe that means I will not be firing off my invisibility cloak that I was considering. But what about this? I did the jump, which means I can do the attack here. It's got a range of 3. I've got nothing that's going to help my range, and the monsters are too far in. This is me trying to pretend that I don't know what's going on. So I took the highest range weapon I could. I I did the full length of the jump, so I'm there. Nobody's getting through. He gets to keep his bonus. It hasn't gone away yet. And now we look at numbers. 21 is our first number, and that has actually got to go because he went before at 21. My poor critter's getting left behind. It should be up in front. Well, it's not. The Tinkerer one's the one. So 21, move +1, muddle and immobilize. Well, they're moving towards him, moving towards him. They don't pay attention to the fact that they're going to collide here and have problems. They're just not worried about it. Neither one gets an attack, which is cool. We won. You know, this going through the door seemed kind of risky. And now we're at 79, which means both of my guys get to go first. I got to give them a little bit of thought and swap out batteries. The situation from the player standpoint, we decided to both power up with some of our abilities here. And the Tinkerer got to move. He didn't get to move because his ability was on the move slot, but he didn't really have anywhere to move to. The only thing he would have done is move and grab a coin. It seemed better to get that power up, although it might end up important. This card might end up important, which would suck. No victory points. I'm going to call them victory points all the time. I don't know why. I should know better, but somehow because I'm playing a board game, you know. Didn't create any mana. Excellent. Monster. He does his special move to the next door and reveal a room. That's this door. He's the only one able to open the doors. I wasn't sure that monsters could open doors. And then we're going to have some more living dead showing up there. Actually running low on these guys. I should pull the remainder out. I've only got one left, which means if the boss does his special again, I'll open this door. There'll only be one there, and if he keeps doing specials, he won't be creating new monsters. I don't know. I don't think he'll create new monsters by once the door's already open. That's not. There's nothing really there. Maybe there's some errata about it, like if monsters don't get there. But yeah, I don't see that. I don't know what the special 2 is. I suppose there's cards for special 2 as well. So we'll deal with that. And these guys, we jump back to them because they haven't gotten to go yet. So they get move +1, which means 1, 2, 1, 2. Could I bone them? I probably could. 1, 2. No. Okay. Whatever. And that's the end of the turn. I don't think I have anything exciting to do except try to figure out what my actions are for the next turn. Maybe the reason there are so many curses in this one is these things are fucking slow as hell and really aren't able to do a lot of damage. Well, they aren't able to close, which means you can wipe them out as they're coming now. They're big and they're heavy. But you can see we've scored a lot of hits on him. And some on him. We got them both muddled. There's a poison effect. How long does that sucker last? Yeah, that just stays there, so he's going to have +1 to any damage that happens to him from any attacks. Craghart really wants to kill it. He did his big area of effect, got points off of it. If he could... he could have put it so that it hit the boss, which might have been a better move, but he really wants to kill that thing and score it. But, oh shit, that bandit commander's huge. He's 10 times C. Wow, he's going to be hard to kill. He's got 30 hit points. That's, I guess that's why there's these things. You know, I'm used to the monsters I've been facing. But even at first level, he is fucking big. Luckily, he doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. We'll see how the others are. But we got to do a lot of damage. Had I dropped my area here, I would have been able to hit those. But I really want to take this thing out if I can. If I could have gotten lucky, maybe I could have wiped him. Right then, he's at 7 out of his 10 already. We get the jump on the enemy this time. The mage moved, no, the tinker, actually, the boss moved first, which was to summon another skeleton, which is causing this huge traffic jam over here. Now they're gone, you can see. That's because the tinker slid up and blasted them away, did some damage to him, and dropped an immobilize on him, which means he's not going to be jumping and opening a door at least. And he's also going to be holding these guys back unless they have some kind of really special movement that they don't look like they'd be likely to. So this is looking real good for us, except we may not get the treasure again. So scared. The mage went next. His critter marched up and didn't do anything, but he moved quickly over there, fired one of her special, totally gone attacks, which means I am out of cards at this point, which means I have to either do a short rest this turn or a long rest next turn. Short rests are dangerous for her. I feel like I definitely want to do the long rest, so that I can make sure I get back my card that allows me to get all my dead cards back. The tinker, he used his ability and managed to burn through, I think 2 of his curses. She got hit with one though. The dicky thing is the tinker killed the elite monster, so he still is not going to get his bonus. And then Crackheart decided to march up and just beat on this thing. It was very unlikely he'd kill it. He didn't, but his retaliation did. However, he's, kind of low on hit points now, and is saying, "Hey, Tinker, can you help me? You got this healing special bonus. You want to fire that off so you can get some XP off of it, right?" We'll see. We got a reshuffle on the living corpses, which is gone now, and that's about it. Yeah, and yeah, it's just not, it's not working too well for the monsters at this point, but I don't feel too bad about that. Okay, so Spellweaver's going to do a long rest at this point. No reason not to. So actually what we have is a situation where 2 of the 3 characters kind of don't want to end this. They don't mind, it's not going to end real quick. They don't mind chipping away at the leader here, but they're not in any particular hurry to get this over. But he takes quite a beating, so that's all right. Only the Tinker wants this to end right now, or as soon as possible, because this one wants to find an elite monster to kill. He hasn't gotten the opportunity, and she wants a treasure available. Basically, nobody's doing any offensive actions. He charged this up. He did not do a dick move, which he considered, which is all allies suffer damage, give them shield for the rest of a turn in which they're not taking anything. Get rid of this card, but get 2 experience points. His movement wasn't really terribly valuable to him, but burning a card like that, that's not a good move. The XP would be nice if we were a little closer to the end maybe, but we're not sure how hard it's going to be to finish that thing off. And as I finish off that round, where basically almost nothing happened, even the little sneak couldn't get a shot in, it was too far away. I realized something else that I probably did wrong in the first scenario I played, which is when you take a long rest, you get a heal 2 as well. That's a big deal. And I may have done it one time, but I don't know. But I forget it because, to me, the rest is all about those cards for the most part. And then I'm like, okay, well, the long rest lets you turn these things back and, gives you some other advantages. But it also gives you a 2 healing, which maybe that would have been a little easier scenario otherwise. Anyway, on to another turn. is a variety of effect attacks, including the Spellweaver jumping to here and shooting down the line here, getting a bunch of XP. I figure it's safe to do because I still have the invisibility cloak. Although I probably should have played it at this moment. Yeah. Let's put it there, and it went late. Let's put it there and get that invisibility. Because that makes me an obstacle they can't target, and it's going to make things a little bit more difficult. The big boss is almost dead, really, up to 23. The living corpses started decaying on their own. You can see there those area of effect attacks. And the reason he had to get in here was so he could reach all these targets, and he came over here so that he could get line of sight to all of these for his maximal area of effect attack. I'm trying to optimize to some extent, I guess. But it was all helped along, although one curse came up for someone's attack. Craghart drew his double card twice in his turn. Now that's me cheating, essentially. And so I want to take a little bit of a moment to try to explain my reasoning behind why I think that's better. One, I like kind of randomness that, so I like the idea of the game being, in general, in terms of role-playing games, in general, and other things, favoring the player characters, giving them a good shot, not, in a real role-playing game, sometimes I make it too hard, but assume that they'll be more clever than I am and be able to, break these traps and tricks that I have. But, if I'm not as sure of my players, I try to make it kind of so that it's not really too easy, but that they probably will succeed. But then throw enough randomness in that there's a chance that even though they'll probably succeed and all survive or whatever, that somebody will die, or that they'll all get wiped out or whatever, within the combat sphere. I don't look at combat as all that terribly important in a role-playing game, to tell you the truth. A change from when I was younger. That's one side of it. Another, and kind of unimportant, the more important side has to do with the realism issue, which is I'm losing some of that broad scope of different possible effects if I don't allow those cards to get reshuffled as soon as they come out. and reset the random chance of what's going to happen. So it takes away some of the, you get a more exciting possible flow where flubs can be worse and great successes could be better. It's unlikely that they are. Here we had a situation where with the double coming up on his only 2 attacks and him boosting those attacks quite a bit, we got to drop a big old 10 on this and wipe out the living bones that he had summoned. And I am so fantastically fine with that. I would also be fantastically fine with him failing on both of them, just as a matter of, in terms of being able to give me a broader scope of possible story. And there's a certain realistic aspect to it. Yeah, we're discussing realism in a fantasy game. I know my dad would kill me for that, but he just always rags on me about that kind of thing. But I do really believe in that. It's not the case when you throw a grenade that it either is really successful against one person or another, or moderately successful against all, or just misses one. This is the kind of thing. That attack could miss everyone due to curses or whatever. That attack could, and due to bad luck, because we're talking about the individual character cards here in either case. Or that attack could happen to hit them both, hit right in the perfect spot where it blasts both. And that's kind of the thing, the lucky arrow that goes through two people, whatever you want to call it. It's just the possibility is there, and whatever you try to look at how these attacks are, for the most part, it doesn't make sense to limit the extreme results so that they can only happen each once in a given turn for the most part. And it's especially the case when you're starting to deal with the monster deck where, these were separate attacks, completely unrelated, so, and it's also possible with the character situation. So for example, this thing as well is drawing from his deck. So I want to keep those extremes in there because otherwise the model that's in play changes significantly. It always changes, but it changes in a major, major fashion as the cards change. And I never like that. I never like that about games that use combat card decks or whatever. Is sort of the, well, you've played a lot, looking at like Down in Flames, you've played a lot of barrel rolls since the last time you discarded. I bet you can't do that again. Which may make sense in some cases. Firing, for example, you may be only able to get a certain number of shots out or not. But there's nothing that really prevents you from continually barrel rolling. In fact, it's easier than trying to pull out of the barrel roll, says somebody who's never flown a plane. Yeah, okay, but I understand the physics of it. Maybe not the blackout aspect. Okay, on to the next one. I think I kind of lucked into something you really want to try to arrange for this battle, which is to get this fucker stuck in a doorway early on. I mean, yes, his special ones could come up and he could go leaping anywhere, but they haven't been. He's getting these special twos, which just create a skeleton, which, I don't know. I'm close, so they're kind of dangerous, but these guys are just targets, essentially. They can't get at you and can't attack, and wiping everything else out, of course, is also important. I lose my invisibility at this point. Oh, not yet. I will in a moment. I just fired off attacks. Two of the characters are long resting, but this guy she just fired off an attack, and I chose not to use this special thing that would prevent damage because I want to get XP. This was my intention, but I'm kind of scared of him. He has all these special abilities: stun, immobilize, and curse on him. If he ever gets his hands on somebody, he's gonna, make their day suck. Even if he doesn't do damage. So, yeah, I ended up choosing to target him and just say, I don't need that check mark that bad. I want to make sure we win this scenario. This guy's getting 2, that's great. Whether I know it or not, I don't know. And I'm also getting an XP, which is a good thing. Now that was around 20. We did him. Those were just summoned and went. And so these guys can't do shit again. And now I take care of those long rests. And that'll be probably it for today. I think we're going to get through this one. No, we're going to get through this one in one video, unless something crazy happens. Okay, we might be just about done at this point. I picked my cards, long rest over here, and these guys have gotten their draws. He's got an attack now. Let me see what my numbers are. Okay, the Tinker gets to go first. He does not, which might mean he actually gets, the boss gets his attack off. These living corpses, they're going to continue disintegrating. Unless the boss goes away before they get their move, and they go first, second, after the Tinker. This one's going to die at the end of this turn. He might get an attack in first, though. But other than that, yeah. Tinker does his flamethrower minor damage to this, but gets the big double damage. He used his glasses here to get an advantage. I'm using my glasses here to be able to see. Yeah, I normally am wearing my glasses, but now I'm wearing my old person glasses because I'm going out tonight, so I put my contacts in. First time in a long time that I've been wearing them. Well, I wore them last week, but before that it had been years. They hadn't been working right for me, and they're seeming better, but it's difficult with the having to switch to reading glasses so often. Like, I really can't read anything anymore. I used to be able to. And the reading glasses aren't strong enough either. They're just cheapies I picked up at the store. Anyway, so he popped the big guy off. There's nothing special that I know of for killing off a boss. Maybe I'm mistaken about something. But the cool part is I will be getting this because the scenario will continue until we wipe these out. These other doors aren't going to open. We're done, you know. It's just a matter of mopping up the dead. Now, on the bad side, that has freed the living corpses up so that they can move. And I got to figure out which one goes first and whatever. But they're going to come into play and hit him. With those corpses was funny because this guy was first. Well, he was stuck behind and took his damage. The next guy who was here moved in, shoved the Tinker back, but died after the attack. And now this guy's going to launch an attack. And he has just gotten a +1. The total damage is 5 + 1 is 6. That would kill the Tinker. So now I'm going to use the rule that I forgot last time, which is I'm going to burn one of his cards to make sure he's not knocked out. Because if he's knocked out, he can't do anything more in this scenario. There are also some other penalties, I think. And there's loot over here and, you know, whatever. There's no reason to get knocked out if you can defend yourself. And what the hell happened? I cheated, didn't I? Well, I don't know what I did. I think I fucked something up. I ended up attacking him when I think it should have been him that got attacked. Because the skeleton was here. I moved him here and attacked. And that can't be right. No, I must have thought he was this guy. So actually the damage there, it was 2 points of damage that was done. Goes over to the Spellweaver instead, for whatever that matters. Which isn't much. But then this thingy, which would have stayed here, killed off the skeleton, and that's now, there will be no more of them either. And all I've got left is the long rest that was going on here, where the Spellweaver gets to heal, and then basically this thing, which is sitting with 5 hits on it, is ready to die, and then there's some loot to grab, and that's really it for this scenario. All the players have chosen cards to try to maximize their chance of getting the treasure and stuff like that. So the Tinker, you got to go early for this, is playing his loot 2. This is, he might play this instead because of the 2 experience points available for that instead of 1 here. But both are good cards, and he's got an attack, and he's got a good low movement. Craghart, who doesn't have many low movements, is doing the best he can with the jump that could get him there if things happen. But he's not going to have that opportunity because the fastest of all is the Spellweaver with a 7 movement. And he's got attack cards that might have generated a victory point or an experience point, but they're not going to because there's no color magic available by the time he goes. How fast are living corpse? Probably not very. They don't seem to have speed as a real part of their existence. So we're expecting to see them dead and the loot to be happening. Now, if he went first, he could have looted 2 and grabbed all the treasure, except for whatever's left from from that thing, or he could do his attack and then his loot too and grab all the treasure. But he might not even get to fire that off, nor this, if you know, if there's nothing he can actually do with the action that, like if there's nothing to attack and nothing to loot, he's not able to get anything, no XP or anything. Spellweaver didn't even have to go. His Mystic finished off that. Take this off. I took the monster off and generated another loot. I'll make it easy for anybody else. I'll use one of these as a move card. Walk here and grab 2 loot. And this scenario ended up a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Mainly because the boss didn't get too many actions. We managed to stun him and stuff, cause him problems while he was stuck at the door. Plus, he has a lot of cards that he doesn't move with. He has no move action listed on it, even a move 0, so he won't take that action. And it kind of balances out. It's like the character cards don't always give you all the things you'd be able to do. So the monsters, just because they have a move attribute, don't get that move attribute activated unless the card has at least a move, well, 0 or minus or whatever on it. So that's the end of this guy. Neither of these give XP. I could, you know, fire this thing off, generate some blue mana. That might be good for someone. So let's do that. That's technically here. This is here. And we've created blue mana in case anybody needs that. I don't think anyone does. No, those are greens. Okay. So for him, well, we definitely want to do the loot 2 as a movement because we get an XP off it. We're not going to get shit off this, which means there's basically nothing we can do. We can't do this attack. So we'll get 1 more XP and these 2 loot, and I believe that card gets discarded permanently. The other one gets discarded too. Not permanently, but there's nothing I can do with an attack card. So then we go to him. Anything I can do. I could create single hex obstacles. I can do this. So this is going to be my movement. The attack won't have an effect, so I can't do it. So first, can anybody get damage? No. And then I jump with a move 4. Whee! Doesn't open the door. Only the bandit leader is allowed to open the door. I do damage again. I don't think this gets triggered, even if I had the color available, which means I just get 1 XP for that, but that's better than I would have gotten otherwise. We go over and read the aftermath. Shifting through the carnage left by the battle, you find a cache in the back of the room containing the scrolls you were hired to collect. Great. You can't help but rifle through a bit and find that the writing on them is in some unknown archaic language. This is probably important for the story. One thing that does jump to you, however, is a map of the northern countryside. A bend in the still river is clearly marked at a point of interest. Contemplating whether you want to find out more about this so-called gloom, you decide that the spot could be a point of interest to you as well, which is 4. You know. Looks like it's up there, and we'll get the little marker for that. But that can be forgotten for the moment. You pack up the papers and head back to Gloomhaven to collect your reward. Meeting, I guess we have to go back. Jexera once again at the sleeping... Yeah, because unless you have a follow-up adventure, you have to. Again at the Sleeping Lion, you hand over the papers and are paid the agreed-upon amount. You know, she whispers to you softly under the bustle of the tavern, if you're interested, I may have another job for you. A tribe of Inox in the Dagger Forest has ransacked a couple of my caravans headed for the capital. I told the militia, but they do nothing, she spits. I can point you in the direction of the encampment. If you can make an example of them, I will pay you even more. She places a crude map of the forest and stands up, her jewelry clinking with the movement. Come find me when it is done, and that'll be Adventure 3, the Inox Encampment. And I'll find that. Should be up here somewhere. There, in the woods. And we'll get that one placed. And we each get 10 gold, and we increase the prosperity of Gloomhaven by 1. which will be marked here. Now, how do I mark this? Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I'm going to do is use a little bit of tape with an X on it or something and move that. That's not real tape, that's removable tape I use to stick wargame maps together sometimes. So there we go. Gold conversion rate on the coins, but not, I guess, on the scenario instructions. 22 XP, 52 gold, and he filled out his aggressor thing, which gave him 3 of these. That means I'm going to get to choose something, and that's going to affect the cards in my shuffle deck. That's awesome. I also have to go through and pull out any curses that are left. I'm at 16 XP, 18 gold. Tinker's doing best, I guess. 17 XP and 16 gold. Remember, the Tinker is the guy who survived the last expedition, and he kind of did pretty well on this one too, to tell you the truth. I forgot the 6 extra XP, so everybody gets 6 extra XP for completing a level 1 dungeon as well. Perk, I get to pick one out of this list. Now, these lists are not exactly the same, but they're similar. But his cool thing, he's got a number of choices here. I'm very tempted towards the ignore negative scenario effects. But on the other hand, I could do something like replace a -2 card with a 0 card. Those will come out of here, and then my deck will be, you know, slightly different each time, you know, from that base deck each time. I've got things like +1 with an immobilize, +1 with a wound. It would do a damage. It would do +1 damage plus this extra ability, and that's kind of cool. +1 with a heal +2, I don't think that helps if I'm not healing. If I don't have a heal on one of my effects, on the effect that I'm drawing for, that's not going to help, I don't think. Now that seems weird, because I don't think any of my attack cards, which is what I'd be drawing for, would come with a heal. Am I doing something wrong? Should I be drawing a card for heal actions? I doubt it. That's not what I thought. So maybe this is intended to be, you get a heal 2 off of it, but it shouldn't say plus then, which seems a little weird. So I'm not sure how that's intended to work. He's got a fair number of range cards. Being able to add a target might be cool. But I'm really tempted to take the negative cards out, or I think the ignore negative scenario effects is really nice. In this case, that would have kept me from having 3 curses in my deck. Certainly if I go on to the other evil gloom scenario, that's useful. But what if I go to this one first? This is my assumption, is that if I'm facing that evil gloom, I'm going to get curses again. I don't know. I'm really torn on this decision. Trying to think. Healing does not require a draw of card, neither does moving. I may have had to look that all up because of that stupid +2. It just heals yourself twice as far as I can tell. So I chose to go though with the ignore negative scenario effects. I don't feel like, oh hey, you healed yourself, maybe. You know, maybe you were damaged, maybe you weren't. The others just seem less likely to be applicable all the time. I mean, I don't know. Getting rid of a negative card is good. So like replace a -2 with a +0. That's a big bonus. Equivalent to the +2s, equivalent to removing 2 -1s. Especially the -2 one, because that is an attack that, you know, maybe you could pick off something with 1 hit or whatever, and you're trying to do that, and a -2 might screw that up even. But I've got the item that gives me advantages, so I don't feel like depleting the negatives is necessarily that big a deal. Muddle's pretty impressive. That disadvantages the enemy, but again, I've got a lot of healing in my deck. To me, this was the most useful, especially given this, which of course is automatic. You can't get through this campaign without playing. this scenario, I think, unless a random side quest like leads you to other things, which I highly doubt. And other than that, well, we go to Gloomhaven. We have a little bit more cash we can buy stuff with. Nobody's got the XP to go up a level. 28 is our highest. We need 45. And even if we were all level 2, that would still be level 1 dungeons. So we're not going to see a big increase in the danger level in them. We'll see how these go. I may end up boosting the level if these continue to be easy. Although I do have, the players kind of trying to dick each other over, grab the loot first, not necessarily optimizing as well as they could. So it's not like I'm playing any less dicky competitively, confusedly certainly, than would be happening in a game where it was multiplayer. Because it is, it is still co-op. The only question is, are you trying to optimize the group over the group? And I'm really not outside of what I would see as permissible table talk, given what they talk about, etc. I don't think anything exciting happened on the party sheet. Make sure there's nothing exciting there. Hey, our shop price is -1. But yeah, that's all we got right now. I don't know why your location is that important. Maybe if you're between scenarios and have an opportunity to go to a free location, but the map so far doesn't seem to have an effect in the game. All right, let's send this one up. I go dancing, and I don't know. I might be starting one tomorrow. Who knows?